child in half as a cat.
Well, let's let Solomon slide. This here book tells about Louis XVI, who got his head cut off a long time ago in France. Or there's his young son Dolphin, who would have became king if they took and shut him up in jail.
Poor little chap.
But there are some what says he got out, got away, and come to America.
Ain't no kings here. He can't get no situation. What's he gonna do?
I don't know. Some of them gets on the police, and others of them learns people how to talk French.
Hold on, Hucky. Don't the Frenchmen talk the same way we do?
Nope, you couldn't understand a word they said.
Well, I'll be ding-blasted why.
Well, I don't know, but suppose a man came up to you and said, "Parlez-vous, Francie?" What would you think?
I wouldn't think nothing. I'd just take and bust him across the head.
Well, it's only saying you know how to talk French.
Well, why don't he say it?
Well, he is saying it, Jim. That's a Frenchman's way of saying it.
Well, I think it's a blame ridiculous way of saying it, and I don't want to hear no more about it.
Looky here, Jim. Does a cat talk like we do?
No.
Does a cow?
A cow don't neither.
Well, then ain't it natural and right for a Frenchman to talk different from us?
Look here, Hucky. Is a cat a man?
No.
Is a cow a man?
No.
Is a Frenchman a man?
Well, of course.
Well, if he's a man, why don't he talk like a man? Answer me that.
Well, it just weren't no use to argue. And besides, I reckon Jim had a point.
All right, now let's get to some of those questions. What about this young lady sitting here in the front row in the green sweater? No? No? We're not going to, I'm not going to ask for volunteers later. What about the lady next to her? No? Who's going to volunteer? Okay, come on up here. We'll take volunteers first. Would you give us your name?
John Davis.
Go ahead,
and
John.
I've got a question for Ryan. Do you find that being in the children's theater interferes a lot with school?
The thing on that is we're responsible for making up any schoolwork that we miss on account of the play. We have, like in this show, there's 19 school performances. So we don't have school on those days when we come and do the show. But I have a normal schedule at school, and I have to make up all my work, and it gets tough. Like in this next 3 weeks, I'm going to miss like 12 or 15 days to make up my school, but I really try and make a good effort to make up all my work.
Okay.
You think you'd like to become part of the children's theater and get out of all that school at least?
Maybe someday.
Okay, good. Now we have to have a young lady. Young lady in the blue sweater. Come on, let's go. Give us your name first of all. Don't you have a question? Oh, come on now. Huh? You're letting... Oh, good. Here we go.
My name is Jenny Freeberg.
You're the last volunteer. What's your name again, Jenny? Let me get this
Jenny
down.
Freeberg.
Jenny Freeberg.
And I have a question for Ryan. When you were younger, was your ambition to be an actor, and do you plan on continuing your career in acting?
When I was younger, I never really thought about it until, as I just auditioned one day, but I never really thought, I didn't know anything about the business or that there was a, professional actor was something. But yes, I do want to continue on with it throughout, after high school, into college.
Okay, thanks.
Have you any interest in the theater?
Yeah.
Become good. All right. Here we go. In the third row. Man in the blue shirt.
Yeah, my name's Bob Oberly.
Bob, go ahead.
And Mr. Donahue, I was wondering how much this play is like the book.
Well, it's like the book in many ways and not like the book in many ways, in that, as you know, the book is a very big, sprawling story that moves all over the place. And we have certain constraints. We have to fit the play within a maximum of about an hour and 50 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes. So we have to cut out much of the book. And then we have to try to compact and arrange in such a way what remains so that it will be dramatic and will be exciting, and we'll touch yet on some of the things that you would be disappointed if we left out. So it's a very difficult problem. But remember, the book is meant to be read at your leisure, picked up and returned to over maybe a year's time. The play is meant to be seen and have an impact within that hour and 50 minutes. So they're two different forms, and thus they're quite different essentially, one from the other. But of course the play is inspired by the book.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And the young man here in the second row with the white t-shirt on?
I guess not.
Huh? Come on. It'll come out the best of all.
Right.
Needs a little encouragement. Give us your name first and...
My name is Tim Moe, and Ryan, do you play any sports? Or?
Yeah, I do. I really like to play baseball. I enjoy that. I was a big collector of baseball cards and memorabilia. I used to go to all the Twins games, 35 a year. And I also enjoy soccer, and I used to be a real football fan. I'm really interested in a lot of sports.
Does that ever conflict with your acting?
Yeah, it did. I ultimately had to make a choice, and acting is the choice.
Okay.
All you people that sat in the front row now, you know you're here. How about this young lady in the red sweater? Come on. Give us your name first, too, and direct your question to either Mr. Donahue.
My name is Laura Harmon. Are you getting paid for this?
Mr. Ryan, obviously. or John either. You get paid, John? Or it is a lot of fun.
No, I don't get paid for this. It's how was it funded?
Well, I'd like to explain that no student ever gets paid at the Children's Theater. We feel that it's part of your education and an invaluable opportunity to learn through doing. The adults in the plays are all professionals. And then we have college students who are interns at the theater and who are studying their education. But any high school student who appears in the play is never paid.
Okay.
Good. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? Yeah. Excellent question. All right. What row haven't we had? Someone from the back row. People in the back row, they always think they're going to get out of things, right? They don't know here that gets them into things. Come on. Someone from the back row, come up. How about the young man here? Yes, come on up. Give us your name first and direct your question to either to Ryan or to Mr. Donahue.
Right. My name is Brian Cordy, and this is Ryan. How long do you have to study your lines to get to know them before you do the play?
We started rehearsal about 6 weeks before the play opened, and in this particular case of Huck Finn, the script wasn't all there right away. So we kind of gradually got the script, and as it turns out, when you just look at the script and say, wow, all these lines, it really looks difficult, but as you just go and you keep rehearsing things over and over, the lines just kind of come and you just finally do them. So, and then we changed some things about a week before we opened. There were things changed, and there's always alterations up to the preview night.
Okay.
See, that was an excellent question. Thank you. And the young lady in the second row here, in the middle there. Here you go. We can't... no help? Huh? Come on now. Maybe I'll ask a question. You alluded to it in the first part of the program, John, and that some people have felt that Huck Finn is a racist play. We saw a scene there with Huck and Jim, and some people might say you're making blacks look like they are illiterate. Jim was illiterate, apparently. He says in that scene that he cannot read.
Right. And you're wondering...
I guess my question is, do you think there is any racism in the play?
Well, sure. I think that's a very important point about the play. Remember, when this particular piece was written, the book was written, and to compare the situation then with the situation now, and to examine ourselves to see how much progress we have made in dealing with the issue of racism, that's a very important reason for doing the play, I think. And we tried to face that issue very squarely in the piece. Interestingly, too, the play is directed by a black director, Mr. Israel Hicks. And he commented on his attitude now about the story versus his attitude when he was a young boy faced with reading the piece as a student. And it was very interesting.
All right, good. Let's go. What about you, Ryan, to that question? Well, we're going to go back to some questions from our panel now again, but do you have any reaction to the racism charge?
Well, I think for the time the play is presented, you know, and the adventures is that's kind of what it's about, is my adventures with him and kind of dealing with, you know, he's a runaway slave, and should I not turn him in? Is this right, what I'm doing? Will I go to the everlasting fire, as I call it? I think that it's really an essential part of the play.
All right. Let's go back to Bob Hopper here on our panel.
Ryan, was there anything in rehearsal that was difficult for you to overcome, that you did overcome?
Nothing that I can really think was a real hard. We had some problems with the raft in the beginning, but you know, everything comes together in the last week, and everybody, when you get your props and things come in, everything just kind of falls together, and it may be kind of shaky in the first few days of the run, but it all settles in.
Okay.
Connie, what about you? Do you have another question?
Mr. Donahue, how many people about does it take to do a play like this?
Well, in a play like this, we would call this a big production. There are 55 actors on stage, and there must be another 30 people involved behind the scenes. By that I mean musicians who are playing out of sight, people who are shifting scenery, stage managers, technicians in the lighting and sound booth, and so on. Those about maybe 80-some people directly involved with that show each time it's presented. Not to mention the many, many other people who are connected with the theater.
Jeff, a quick question.
Were there any special problems in any of the set designs or any of the techniques that you needed in the set?
One of the great things, I just will mention, that's not a problem but a delight, but it was a problem to learn how to do it, is the boys go diving off the dock into the Mississippi River, and they do flips and dives and flops and cannonballs down into the orchestra pit where they land on crash pads.
Excuse me, John, you'll have to go to the theater, I guess, and see that, and Huck Finn is running until when?
Right, through the 16th of November.
Through the 16th of November, and our ticket's still available. And thank you, John and Ryan, and our students from Southwest High School, and Mr. Jim Van Drunen. Jim, you want to stand and take a bow here, the teacher of this class? And thank you for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a program on juvenile restitution. Thank you for joining us today.